Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. It is playoff prediction time, championship time, all of that stuff before we dive into the Indoor Football League season, because week one is less than a week away. I'm recording this on March 8th, and the games kick off on the 14th. Well, game kicks off on the 14th, and then we have one on the 15th as we get a nice little appetizer of week one in the Indoor Football League. They've done it for countless years now. So last year was really fun. I picked quite a few accuracies when it came to who was making the playoffs and things along those lines. The seeding and stuff wasn't necessarily correct, but the last two times I've picked the winner correctly of the Indoor Football League National Champion. So not to toot my own horn, because you do not want to see my ego at 100%. That's the reason I self-deprecate all the time. No, all kidding aside though, it's been fun to pick this stuff and realize just how wrong you are, because that's kind of how I'm feeling with this season. In 2024, I was absolutely off the walls, bonkers wrong with what I thought was going to happen. I'm feeling that with this one. I think there's going to be a lot of parity in this league, with a lot of teams kind of beating up on each other. And truth be told, when I was going through and picking these games, and I'll go through my criteria of what I did in a second, but there were some things I had to do where I was just flipping a coin, man. All truth be told, just taking the literal quarter and just popping it. And there are some toss-ups. There's some things where, like, into this consideration, I was like, all right, this team's on like a couple game winning streak. Do they break it? Do they keep it going? Like, trying to put this stuff into consideration. Truth be told, not trying to factor in injuries or things like that, but teams coming off bye weeks, home team, if there's home field advantage, things like that. So, like, there was a lot to this, and probably more effort I put into this, which means it's going to be absolutely wrong, instead of just going, I think that team's going to win, I think that team's going to win. It's like picking the bracket in college basketball, man. Just like, this team's going to win, this team's going to win. Like, just going through it, it's probably way better than going, well, this team is shooting 45% from the three-point line, and this team is making their free throws, and they got hot as of late, and can they make a run? Like, some people are good with that. Me, I tried that, and we'll see how wrong it is here in a second. But for the most part, it's just kind of like, hey, pick, and that's probably what gets me by better when it comes to like the bracket or even the Indoor Football League playoffs. So I want to go talk about my criteria, and then we will dive into the playoffs and the standings and stuff like that for the end of the season. Okay, so it's not a lot of criteria, but the criteria that I have right here, it kind of boils down to a couple of bullet points. First and foremost, you're more likely to kind of win your home games than you are to lose them, for the most part. Caveats, obviously. But there are some teams that are able to protect their home turf a lot better than others. So when it comes to them and picking them at home compared to on the road, like, I will use Quad City as an example. Quad City is normally a very, very good home team. A lot to be desired on the road the last couple of seasons. Now, hopefully they can turn that around, obviously, as a fan of them. But at the same time, I do have to take that into consideration when I'm picking this. Are we still going status quo with it where, hey, if they are at Fishers to start the season, is this going to be something where they don't necessarily play that well? Or is it first game of the season? Upsets can't happen. There is no preseason. There's no getting after this. If you pick the wrong guys out of your cuts for 25-man rosters, you don't get the benefit of the doubt, man. There's upsets that can happen. So I'm not going to go game by game throughout this entire process. That would take way too long, and I don't want to make another 45-minute video. So I'm not going to go through that. But the other criteria I had with this was kind of rivalries when it comes to that as well. Has this team ever beaten another team? And I'll call this one out: Arizona and New Mexico. Duke City's never beaten Arizona. New Mexico, Duke City, whoever, they have never beaten Arizona. Can they break that this year? Truth be told, I don't think so. But stranger things have happened. But if you're going with the trends and the status quo with this, and I'm not saying everything's status quo, there will be upsets, but with it, I tried to take all of this into consideration as much as I could. So yes, what is it? Orlando's 4-1 against Jacksonville. Could there be upsets? Certainly. But I'm not picking Orlando all the time just because they're 4-1. I'm not picking New Mexico, or I'm not picking Arizona over New Mexico just because they're 10-0. Things can happen. Simple as that. And you will actually be maybe a little surprised by the standings, because even I am surprised at the standings that I did. Because when I was looking at this, I went game by game, and really just went, is this team going to lose at home? Can this team pull a road upset? How many wins in a row does this team have? And that's another factor right here. How long do you let a winning streak go for? Because some teams can build winning streaks based on previous years and things like that. You've had teams get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 winning streaks, and some teams they're very roller coasterish. They win 1 or 2 games, lose. Win 1 or 2 games, lose. Another criteria: bye weeks, and obviously how many road games do you play in a row? How many home games do you play in a row? And how does that rest and stuff kind of factor in? So trying to take all of this stuff into consideration, I didn't necessarily like get out beakers and a Bunsen burner and stuff like that. I'm not doing like science, but at the same time tried to do this as realistically as I could. So without further ado, that was the criteria I pretty much used. I didn't throw darts at the wall, and my sources are kind of trust me, bro. But that's what I've gone on. Past trends, winning streaks, home games. Can you protect your home field? Can you not protect your home field? Things along those lines. So I tried to make this as realistic as I could. We need to go take a look at those playoff predictions. All right. So we're going to break this up by conference. We'll start with the East and in the West. And what I'm going to do is start from the bottom. Now we here. Start from the bottom. Now my whole team F in here. Thank you, Drake. Now it's in my head. Starting from the 7th all the way up to the 1st. And we'll start in the East. I'll give you their record, give you a little bit of some reasonings, and we move on from there. Now, these are my predictions. You can roast me in half a year and how bad they are, because I'm shaking in my boots. Excuse me. But for the most part, even I'm kind of shocked at this, because what I logically would think, like kind of the gun to head scenario kind of thing. If you told me pick 4 teams in the East, I would have gone almost completely different. Not almost, but kind of completely different than how I would have this kind of sorted out. But let's not waste any more time. Number 7 in the East, the Iowa Barnstormers at 3-13. There were a couple of coin flip games, and I can see their ceiling maybe being as high as 5 to 6 wins. But they do play kind of a tough schedule. They play Fishers 3 times. They play Quad Cities 3 times. I think they play Green Bay 3 times as well too. And there are some games where, I try to take into consideration. They have beaten Quad City. They've beaten Fishers, I think. Yeah, I think they beat Fishers that one game. And then they've also played Green Bay close. They've played Tulsa close. And they're always, until last season, they've always been good at hanging 70 on Orlando/Massachusetts for like 1 game a year. So there are opportunities for Iowa to win games. But for that to happen, a lot of the other teams need to lose games, and I just don't necessarily see that happening right now. Now, truth be told, that is an improvement from last season to this season. 3-13 is a 2-game improvement since they only won 1 game last year. So not the up and up that Iowa fans want, but I just think all the other teams are better. And I've said that. I've tried to be consistent with that. They still win more games. And like I said, they could win 5 or 6. Prove me wrong. Go make the playoffs. I mean, it's as simple as that. I know easier said than done, but there you have it. Number 6, the Tulsa Oilers. Hello, there's a surprise. Now, same thing along the lines of Iowa. There are a lot of coin flips that I have with this one. And unfortunately, Tulsa lost a lot of those coin flips. And where I have them right now, and I'm not going to put it up for like graphics sake, I have them at 1-7 on the road. And that, personally, for me, does not sit right. I think they can win more games on the road with that, but that's how the toss-ups went. So for that, going 6-10, I could easily see them going 8-8 or 9-7. They just lost the coin flips. So again, this is where I have them. But just like Iowa, I do think their ceiling is a lot higher than what I am letting on here. I can easily see this team going 9-7, maybe even as much as 10-6. But they lost the coin flips when I did this. They went 1-7 on the road. I don't see that happening. But for right now, this is where I have them. Because at number 5, we have the Orlando Pirates. Another surprise for me, because personally, I think Orlando is going to get back into the playoffs. I have them at 8-8. And kind of the same thing here. I have them going, quote, 5-3 at home. They only have 6 home games, which means that they are winning one of the games in the IFL Cup and then they're losing the other one, and then they're losing a couple of games at home just because it's a brand new arena. Well, not brand new, but new to them. So they do have a couple of stumbles in there as well. There's some rivalries with Jacksonville, a brand new place. Quad City plays them tough. Green Bay plays them tough, but Orlando does have kind of a history of beating Green Bay and Jacksonville, things along those lines. So how it kind of goes for me is Orlando's going to win these games. They're going to win, or they're going to lose some games. I have them at 3-5 on the road because in the past they've been middling on the road. They've normally been kind of good at home, all things considered, but going on the road leaves a little bit to be desired. Like last year when they went to the West, I was about to say West Coast, but not the West Coast, and they lost to Northern Arizona and Tucson. And so I think you kind of add a little bit of, I wouldn't say skepticism, but along those lines. Can they do that? We'll find out. I'm not doing a whole team preview again, but I have them at 8-8. And right there, I think is a pretty good spot for them. I could see them maybe being a little bit worse at 7-9. I could also see them going 9-7, possibly even 10-6. But within that frame, like I said, there's some coin flips that they've won, some coin flips that they lost with it. Playoff time. Your number 4 seed, Green Bay at 9-7. Yeah, I'm shocked too, because like I said, I thought this spot was for Orlando. But the more I kept looking at the schedule, I was like, Green Bay can win this game. Green Bay can win that game. Green Bay's fairly good at home. They've protected their home turf for quite a while, and they do play Iowa 3 times. So there's some wins. They do play Quad City. They've beaten them before. They do play Fishers. They do play Jacksonville. They play pretty well against some of these teams. Can they get over the hump against Orlando? Because they've struggled with them a little bit. Can they beat Tulsa? Things along that. I have them at 9-7, which shocked even me, because like I said, I wasn't doing like game by game and updating the stats. I picked every single game, and then I tallied everything up after that. So 9-7 for Green Bay is shocking to me. I have them in the playoffs. I don't know if I want them in the playoffs. No, I'm just kidding. I have them in the playoffs at 5-3 at home and 4-4 on the road. You can see them at 10-6. I think there's a pathway. Do they? One of those losses I have is the very first game of the season. Can they pull the upset? Dare I say upset? Because they are at home, but Vegas, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to be favored in that game. They can win that, and that makes this 10-6. There's also chances for them that some of the coin flips that I have for them, they lose, and they could go down 8-8. 7-9, 6-10, things like that. But like I said, the East is kind of wide open. You're starting to see how it's literally 2 games between Tulsa to Orlando, 1 game from Orlando to Green Bay. Like I said, this is where coin flips started to get a little wonky, and I have Green Bay at 4. I think Green Bay can protect their home turf. They go 5-3. There's some games that they lose that they might not have business losing, like the Vegas game to open. That's one of their losses. 2 more after that. So 4-4 on the road. They normally go on the road towards the end of the seasons, and sometimes they struggle, sometimes they don't. But I've got them taking a step back here. They've been very, very good the last couple of seasons. I have a little bit of a setback. I said that last year too, and they made the championship game. So congrats, Green Bay, for representing the Eastern Conference again. 3rd seed, 10-6, the Jacksonville Sharks, and again, another shocker for me in the sense where I don't think Jacksonville is not going to finish 10-6. I was amazed at what I saw when I calculated everything. 6-2 at home. They're pretty good at protecting the Shark Tank, all things considered. 4-4 on the road. And there's some toss-ups, whether it's been at Orlando or at Tulsa, at Green Bay, or maybe not Green Bay, but because I think they only played Green Bay once. But regardless, sharing home and homes against some of the Eastern Conference teams, and even playing the Western Conference teams that they do, because I think, look over here, they're 7-4 in the conference, so they'd play 5 games against Western Conference opponents. Some of those are wins, some of those are losses. And I had Jacksonville in the playoffs. I thought they'd be the 4 seed. I thought Orlando would be all the way up to the 3 seed. If you put gun to head before I even did this, I thought I put Orlando at the 3 seed. This is what I have. So I got Jacksonville at 10-6, 6-2 at home. There's some games that they're easily going to win. There's some games where they might struggle. And I think for all intents and purposes, I think they only play Quad City once, which we'll talk about that in 1 second. There you go. Spoiled it. But that's going to be huge for the tiebreaker, which takes us to number 2, Quad City, 10-6. Quad City wins that game against Jacksonville, that is a toss-up. I'll tell you that right now. That was a toss-up where I literally flipped a coin. Quad City came out victorious. No bias or anything with that. Quad City came out victorious. That's the tiebreaker that they have here, because I have not seen anything on the contrary from last year to this year that things have changed. I think it's still head-to-head now of who gets the higher seed. No more conference win percentage or anything like that. I think it's straight head-to-head. So Quad City only playing one game against Jacksonville. I have them winning that one. What gets me here, though, excuse me, 7-1 at home. Quad City's good at home. I don't know if they're 7-1 at home good. But the more I started looking at their schedule, especially their home slate, I was like, I think they're going to win this one. I think they can win this one. I think they can win this one. And before you know it, they're 7-1. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I don't know how accurate this is, because I think I'm getting way too into overthinking this. And where I have them at the 2 seed right now with just a tiebreaker shows you, can Quad City keep this up? Or is this the ceiling? Can I see them win 13, 14 games? I don't know. Same thing with Jacksonville. I can see them winning a couple more games, maybe going 12-4. Like I said, maybe dropping a little bit below that. Quad City's kind of in that same vein. I can see Quad City losing a couple of games and going to 8-8. Like I've said, the East is open, man. Those two could flip-flop very easily, especially if Jacksonville wins that, because then that drops Quad City to 9-7, Jacksonville's 11-5, and then you're wondering what the tiebreakers are for Quad City and Green Bay. So like I said, it gets kind of sticky, all things considered with this. Number 1, Fishers. I have Fishers going 11-5. And again, you see it from 11-5 to Orlando and Tulsa at 6-10. There's just a couple of games that separate 1 to 2 per team, and that's why I think the East is going to be very open. There's a lot of toss-ups. Fishers plays Arizona in a home-and-home. I have them splitting that series. I think Fishers can win that game at home, but I think Arizona will win their home on the return serve. Fishers plays Iowa 3 times. They should be able to sweep them on that one, but I gave Iowa the benefit of the doubt and gave them a win. I got Iowa upsetting Quad City and things along those lines. So it's like, it's again, you guys can have your own predictions. That's perfectly fine, and you can yell, comment, and all that stuff too. That's fine. But I have Fishers going 7-1 at home, and I'll be honest, that's the most comfortable I have felt with these teams the entire time. 7-1 at home for Fishers. That's a pretty good way to get to the playoffs. They go 4-4 on the road, which, again, some of those games I'm looking at going, do they truly lose this game, or is it more along the lines of like, hey, winning streak gets snapped? Because I think at some point I had Fishers with like a 5 or 6 game winning streak, and eventually it's like, okay, do they lose here? Do they keep the win streak going? Throw in a toss up here or there. That's how we have it. But like I said, Fishers I think could go anywhere from 13-3, maybe drop down to 10-6, maybe 9-7. I think Fishers, I want to say, is destined, but I think they've got double-digit wins. I do. I don't see a world where they don't. They look very, very good. So that's where we have it with the East. We got Fishers against Green Bay, Quad City against Jacksonville, and better luck next year for Orlando, Tulsa, and Iowa. So let's go take a look at the West. All right, for the Western Conference, same spiel. If you fast forwarded to this, go watch it's only a couple minutes. Go watch the other one. But for the West, same thing. 7 seed, the New Mexico Chupacabras. I just don't see it. Brand new team. Fishers kind of bucked the trend a little bit last year, but for the most part, most expansion teams kind of struggle. I have New Mexico 2-14. They do win 2 of their conference games. They go 1-6 at home because they don't have a full 8-game home stretch, because some of their games are the Indoor Football League Cup. I have them 1-8 on the road because one of their extra games is the Indoor Football League Cup. And it's just going to be some growing pains for this team. There are some toss-ups that they did lose. I have their ceiling right now, from what I can see from the coin flips and stuff, about 4-12. 5-11 if you are very, very, very lucky, but 4-12 at the max for me. 2-14 seems like a little bit of a sweet spot. They do get a couple of wins. I think I have them beating Northern Arizona for one, and either Tucson or San Antonio for the other one. I cannot remember. But for the most part, those are their 2 wins. And that's kind of where we have it. Simple as that, man. Like that's not bad in my opinion. There's some growing pains. I think there's some games that are toss-ups. Like I said in team previews, I think there's some games against Northern Arizona, Tucson, and San Antonio that can be toss-ups for New Mexico. I have them at 2-14. They won a couple of them, lost a couple of them. So for the Chupacabras, I think it's not necessarily a successful season as they would want. I think that's pretty successful given the circumstances of what that roster is, how they play, keep games close. We'll see how it goes. But 2-14, that's where I have it. Number 6, Northern Arizona. And this one is shocking because I thought they'd have more wins, but I have them at 3-13. And some of those, again, toss-ups. I have them winning against New Mexico. I have them winning against Tucson. I have them winning against Arizona. I have them upsetting Arizona, which is shocking because they don't really do that much anymore. But I have Northern Arizona going 3-13. They do win a couple of games on the road. They win one game at home. And it's hard to think about how bad this team was last year and how I don't think that they're going to progress as much this year. That's the reason why when I picked this out, I was like, how do they only have 3 wins? They did lose some toss-ups. I think I have it anywhere between 5 to 6, possibly 7 wins for this team. We will see how it goes. And that, for me, I guess it shows to me that I am just not sold on what happened last year. And then you bring a lot of people back hoping that it's going to be everyone back for another season. Things change. I'm just not sold on that yet. Now, prove me wrong with that, obviously, but at the same time, there are some coin flips that they lost. This team can go 5-11 or 6-10, really, in realistic, terms, and that is progress considered from what last season was to this season. I think a 3 or 4 game increase in wins is doable. Right now, I have them only at 1, which, again, it sucks because I don't want to be like that guy that's like, this team sucks. I don't think they suck. I think it's just the circumstances given of they play Vegas, they play Arizona, they play San Diego, and I think those teams are going to just kind of beat up on the competition. So, unfortunately, I have that there, and I think Arizona can fit anywhere in that 3-13 to, like I said, 5, 6, possibly 7 wins. So, they have some very winnable games as well. They just lose the coin flip on some of those. Number 5, Tucson Sugar Skulls going 6-10. This one shocked me because kind of like with the East, in my brain, I'm picking Tucson over the last couple of days and the previews and stuff that I've done between San Antonio and Tucson. If Tucson can figure out their quarterback or if they sign one mid-season or something, I think that's way more added firepower than more of a rookie coaching staff than San Antonio. But if San Antonio can get all of that stuff together, yeah. So I have Tucson here at 6-10, which again, the record shocked me a little bit too, but I put it into the perspective of who they're playing. Arizona, Vegas, San Diego. So I think those teams are going to beat up on them. There are some coin flips that they've won with New Mexico and Northern Arizona, even San Antonio. There's some coin flips that they've lost, lose a little bit more than they won, and drops them to 6-10. I do have them winning 4 games at home, so they are protecting the boneyard a little bit, because in the last couple of seasons, they've had a little bit of trouble, all things considered. They have won games at home, but it's not like they're going undefeated or anything like that. There's a little bit left to be desired when it comes to Tucson being a graveyard, a boneyard, for the pun. I have them going 2-6 on the road, and now it's tough for them to go on the road. I think I do have them beating Orlando, though, and Orlando makes the trip back out to the west. Number 4 seed, San Antonio, 7-9. It's not unheard of in this league to have a team with a losing record make the playoffs, but this is where we have it. 7-9. They do lose some coin flip games with Tucson, Northern Arizona, New Mexico. They do lose to Tulsa a couple of times because they do play Tulsa a little bit. And I forgot to mention that for Tulsa too, with them going 6-10 in the East. Some of those are losses to San Antonio. I think San Antonio does win 2 for 1 in the 3-game series that they have when I was kind of doing it, because truth be told, I had coin flips for those 3 games. Tulsa should be better just based on the talent that they come back with and the coaching staff that they have. But ultimately, I kind of had that as some coin flip games. So 7-9, I have them going 3-5 at home. Their home has not necessarily been too kind to them in their winning ways. It has, but it hasn't. Kind of the same thing with Tucson, where I think you should be better at protecting your home field. Some teams come in there, they just win. So 7-9, I have them losing a couple of coin flips, which means their ceiling could be a little bit bigger, or higher, excuse me. I guess it could be 8-8, 9-7, somewhere in that range. But one game between Tucson and San Antonio, they play each other. So kind of that same thing with Quad City and Jacksonville that we talked about, where it's like one of these games could separate these guys from the playoffs. If they both go 8-8, then you look at the head-to-heads, and it gets kind of a little convoluted with that. And again, I didn't do this to shy away from tiebreakers. That's just kind of how it all shook out. So number 3, San Diego. I thought this team would be higher, but I think Vegas and Arizona are going to be just a little bit better. And San Diego comes in at 11-5. So they do win some games. Astonishingly, though, 7-1 at home. I have them going 7-1 at home and protecting their turf, 4-4 on the road. And they are able to, in a sense, they're able to win the games that they should win, and they lose the games that they probably should lose. There were obviously some coin flips, but I think there were 3 or 4, and it was either even at 2-2, or I think they were favored 2-1 for the 3, and for that makes them 11-5. And if it was the 2-2, I can't remember off the top of my head. If it was 2-2, then that evens itself out with games you should have won and games you should have lost, things along those lines. So 11-5, the number 3 seed. Arizona, 12-4, the number 2 seed, which that means you know who number 1 is. But 12-4, I have them losing a couple of games. And one of those games is to Fishers. We talked about that. I have them losing on an upset against Tucson. Tucson's proven that they can beat them. I have them losing to Vegas 2 times. They will lose to Vegas in the Indoor Football League Cup, and they will lose to Vegas the only other meeting that they meet them. So that is where we have it. Obviously, their ceiling is higher. I can see them winning 14 or 15 games. There's a chance that they go 15-1, man. They win the Indoor Football League Cup. I'm not saying they're going 16-0. I don't see it. They will lose a game or 2. Simple as that. They are perfect at home. Perfect at home. The Snake Pit's been something of a place for people to go. And, for people to go and, lose. Not to say that it can't happen. Tucson did that last year. Beat them at home. And I'm not saying it's not heard of. But from all intents and purposes, I think Arizona is going to have just yet another double-digit win season. It's what they do. They're going to make the playoffs. It's what they do. Number 1, Vegas, I have them at 14-2. They lose 2 games. They lose to Arizona in the IFL Cup. And, they lose to Arizona, man. And that's pretty much their 2 losses. Hey, everyone, this is Editing Cody here. And, you might have listened to that and gone, what is he talking about? I have no idea myself. Listening to that back, I thought I was making sense. I clearly wasn't. There were no drugs. I want to get that out of the way. There were no drugs. There's no alcohol. I don't know what was going on. I do have a screenshot of my Excel sheets that I had for each team's schedule here, and you can see Arizona's 4 losses. You can see Vegas's 2 losses, and kind of how it goes for that. I wanted to highlight those in red so you can see the 4 losses. You can see the 2 losses. I don't know what I was saying. And I don't really have an excuse for it, because at the end of the day, I did get to those records. But at the same time, I think what I was trying to say was Vegas and Arizona are both going to lose to each other, but Arizona is going to win the IFL Cup. I have no idea. So, yeah, there you have it. Anyway, back to the video. I could see them losing to San Diego. I could see them losing maybe to, some other teams. They could lose the very opening game, and this thing's completely out of whack. I think Vegas is just on another warpath. Now that Mike Davis and company have had a taste of the silverware, they want it again and again and again and again, just like anyone else that's won a championship. So I think Vegas is going to be on their warpath, and the sky's the limit for them. Do I think they go 14-2? Absolutely not. I think they go 13-3, 12-4, and there's some upsets that do happen. But the more I looked at this, there's just games they're going to win. And the more I looked at it, some coin flips, you're lucky in Vegas, man. Those coin flips just went their way. And I don't know. That's why I think I overthought this way too much. But We've got Vegas against San Antonio, Arizona against San Diego. We need to go talk about the playoffs for the East and the West. All right. Playoff bracket. Here we go. Playoff predictions. It's going to be pretty chalky in the East. I got Fishers in Green Bay, with Fishers taking the victory. I think Green Bay sneaks their way into the playoffs based on the standings that I have. Fishers is just a little bit too much for them. And the season for Green Bay ends. You can't make it back to the Eastern Conference Championship. I think Fishers takes it, not comfortably, but they do have a little bit of a sweat. But for all intents and purposes, I think Fishers takes the victory. Quad City and Jacksonville. If this was in Jacksonville, I would pick Jacksonville. It's in Quad City. I'm picking Quad City. They did beat Jacksonville last year in the playoffs. And I think it's going to be kind of a, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I think Quad City gets the victory again. A lot of people have them in the Eastern Conference Championship. Some people have them in the championship. I don't know if I'm there just yet. Psych. Quad City upsets Fishers. They're headed to the championship. And for all intents and purposes, I think it's necessary to say this. I'm not saying that as a Quad City fan. I'm saying it from the curse of the number one seed. Now, the number one seed has had a lot of trouble even just making the Indoor Football League National Championship game, let alone winning it. It has been a very, very, very long time since the number one seed won the championship, let alone got into the championship. Man, it's been a while. And I think it continues. I think Quad City upsets them. And then, obviously, the bias does come in there a little bit. But I think realistically, Fishers goes through the season. They cruise a little bit. I like what they're capable of. They run out of steam. There you go. There's your train pun. They run out of steam, and the Steam Wheelers head to the championship. I'm so wrong with. I know I'm going to be so wrong with that, but that's where I have it, man. I could easily see any of these teams, maybe not Green Bay, but the top three teams, you can make a case for them making the championship game. Green Bay, you can if they go on a run. They've been known to go on runs too and make the Eastern Conference Championship and make the National Championship. So yes, you can make a case for Green Bay. I just don't know about this season. So yeah, to the West. Vegas beats San Antonio. Now, again, I'm torn between San Antonio and Tucson, but based on this, I've put San Antonio in the playoffs multiple years and they've come up short. So putting them in here again, it's just spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks at this point. Vegas beats San Antonio, and then we have a repeat. We're back in Arizona. Arizona, San Diego. Part 2 electric boogaloo of what happened last season and the chaos that ensued. Arizona takes the victory. Unfortunately, the run ends for San Diego and San Antonio too, and you have the clash of the Titans. Vegas and Arizona duke it out in the Western Conference Championship. The winner goes to take on Quad City. Excuse me, I was at Green Bay because I'm thinking Vegas and Green Bay, but it is not a rematch of that. Arizona takes it. This is a coin flip to me. And I flipped that coin, and it came up tails, because that's what the 2 seed was. Tail 2 seed. There's your alliteration. Arizona took it. Arizona against Quad City in the championship. Then the West does it again. Another coin flip. It was Arizona. They win. And that sucks because I want Quad City to win. But ultimately, I have Arizona. The 1 seed strikes again. There is the curse of the 1 seed. Arizona with the 2, Quad City with the 2. Arizona takes it. They have quasi home field advantage in Tucson. They have the roster that can get it done. Max Myler gets that championship. He was a couple yards short from just less than a calendar year ago, or whatever storybook ending you want to add to it. But Arizona gets it done. And yeah, that's where I have it. Arizona's going to make it back. They play Quad City. The West is still better. They're still waiting for the East to claim a championship for the first time since Massachusetts. So that's where we have it. That is our championship. That is our, not our, but my, because I'm not going to speak for you guys. I think Arizona takes it. But it is a toss-up. Now, with that, everything on this that I just said is going to be completely wrong. So congratulations to the Tucson Sugar Skulls for winning the national championship. Or the Orlando Pirates. As, some funky is just going to happen, man. There's a lot of parity in this league. But that's what I have. Coin flips, everything included. Arizona beats Quad City for the IFL National Championship. Let's go wrap everything up. Let's get out of here with this stupid, dumb experiment. All right. So, like I just mentioned, there's a lot of parity, I think, in this league. I have said this in a lot of team previews. I've said it on Around the Indoor Football World on Shady Sports. I think the East is completely open. You can make cases for Orlando and Tulsa, who I've left out of the playoffs for this. You can even make a case for Iowa sneaking in if you really want to. I think the East is very open. And you saw the records that I had to deal with and the coin flips that I had to deal with and how they shook out. If you run that same simulation yourself, you could have completely different teams. Simple. My picks are not right or wrong. Those are my picks. I'll stand by them. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But it's always fun to just kind of go through this stuff. I do think that there are two locks. I do have Fishers and Quad City locked in for me. I almost want to lock up Jacksonville, but I'm just not necessarily too sold just yet. They're kind of like on the bubble in, since we're, in March Madness and stuff like that. So they're like on the bubble, but in. They haven't clinched. I don't have them right there yet. I'm not writing their name in Sharpie. They're there. And then it's kind of like a 3-4 team race for that final spot with Green Bay, Orlando, Tulsa, and Iowa. And you can make a case for all of those teams. For me, the way that cookie crumbled was Green Bay with some toss-up wins and, Orlando, Tulsa, Iowa getting some upsets and just kind of the way that things shook out. So, like I said earlier, I thought it was going to be Orlando when I was calculating all of this stuff. And I did not expect Tulsa to finish 6-10. So, craziness. Into the West, same thing, man. I kind of have three teams, and I've talked about that ad nauseum. Vegas, Arizona, San Diego, who takes that final one. At some points, I talked about how it's kind of a 4-team race, kind of dwindled down to 2 for a little bit with San Antonio and Tucson. I could see a scenario where Northern Arizona does pick up some wins if everything goes according to plan for them, and they have the season that a lot of Northern Arizona fans and other people that believe in them have, where they could get 7 or 8 wins and make that playoff spot. New Mexico, I think, is the only one that's kind of out, just based on how tough the West already is. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. Like I said, I don't know what the realistic expectations for New Mexico are going to be. Obviously, everyone says they want to win a championship. I don't think you can do it in your first year. But they could rattle off a couple of other wins. I do have some toss-ups that they lose. I can see them going 4-12, and some of these other teams losing. There can be some upsets that we don't know about. It happens every year. So, obviously, these are my opinions. That's how it goes. You can still get mad at them. Not saying you can't. This isn't gospel. I'll treat it like gospel. You can still get mad at me later this year and be like, you picked this team. I did. And that's where we have it. Especially, like I said, this is what I have. Kicking myself with Orlando. I'm kicking myself with Tucson. And if those two teams make the playoffs, I will not hear the end of it, man. I will not. Now, that's fine. That's fine, man. But that's where I have it. When it comes to the playoffs, I don't really see too big of an upset, if any. I could see Jacksonville beating Quad City with what I have. I could see maybe San Diego pulling the upset again against Orlando against Arizona. I don't know. But I do think Arizona can make the championship. Vegas can make the championship. Even San Diego can make the championship. You can make a case for that. And even in the East, you can make a case for them too with Fishers, Quad City, Jacksonville, Green Bay. You can even make it for the rest of the East as well too, with Orlando and Tulsa. If things break certain ways, I could see Orlando make a championship. I could see Tulsa make a championship, and I have them at 6-10. That's how wide open I think the East is, where any of these teams can get hot, go on these runs, screw the coin flip. You never know. And that's the thing I love about this league. The parity that we're building here is second to none. You've seen teams go from worst to first and win championships. You've seen expansion teams be a couple games away from making the playoffs. You've seen expansion teams make the playoffs. You've seen teams just be absolute dog S and then make the playoffs the very next year. It happens. So you can see that with like a Northern Arizona. They've done it. They've won a freaking championship, man. They went from worst to first. We've seen it with Bay Area. It happens. So don't take these too seriously. That's all I'm trying to say. We don't know. And until the final game is ended in week 20, we won't know. And until that final game is ended in Tucson, then you have your champion. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it lightheartedly. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why I'm wearing this and not, my serious hat, which I need to go find my serious hat. But that's where you have it. This should be fun. I'm going to take off here, though, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you don't, you don't have to. But team previews are done. Predictions, playoffs, and all of that is done. Week 1 is here. Week 1 is here, baby. I'm debating if I want to put an off-season update out really quick because we should have a broadcast partner by the time that this is probably out, or like later in the day, because this is probably going out either Sunday night or Monday. And yeah, so we should have a new broadcast partner. Yahoo already announced their broadcast schedule of who they're going to carry. They're taking most of the Sunday games. So there you have it. But I'm going to take off here, guys. Wasting enough time with this. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. Tell me your championship predictions and your playoff teams and all of that in the comments if you want to. I'm not your boss. You don't have to. But that's where I leave it. Take off here, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Until then, I will see you either in the off-season update if I choose to, or I'll see you in week 1. Until then. See you.